All right. I think we are currently live on Facebook. Walt, can you give me confirmation on your end that you see that?
Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. We are there and going again. It's another Wednesday. Sharon, how the heck are you?
I am great. Today is Wednesday, July 19th, and I can't get that date wrong because it is my silver or 25th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
And we're excited. This is session 3 of our Wellness Wednesdays with Walt and Dr. Sharon. And we wanted to say hello and thanks to everybody who watched our last video. Walt, do you want to go ahead and kind of
Yeah,
give a summary of what last week was like?
let's kind of bring everybody up to speed in case this is your first time joining us. This kind of becomes a weekly event around 8 o'clock, although we're a little bit later tonight. So anyone that I'm scheduled to talk to after, we're going to be pushing it back. So we've been talking a little bit about health coaches. Sharon obviously, wears a couple hats. I won't pass on the Yankees. I got my Pitt hat on. But we're both health coaches. Our goal in life is to help people find their optimal life and health and well-being. And we do that by helping people by meeting them where they're at and helping them develop a self-care plan that fits them in the moment. And last week, we talked to one of my favorite, I wouldn't say clients, but my favorite members of my community, my wife, Paige, who has been doing this program now for over a year and has lost 80 some pounds. I've lost 80 pounds. I joined with her and was a type 2 diabetic, and now I'm off all my meds and stuff. And, she's just done an amazing job, ran a 5K. And she's out on a walk now. She walks viciously, I would say is a great word, because if you ever tried to keep up with her, you would need a motorcycle. But she's just out there going away. And Sharon, you've been doing this for quite a while. Why don't you tell us about how you got started in all this?
Yeah, I've been a family physician for 25 years, but been doing health and wellness coaching now for 10. And I actually got connected because my patient felt comfortable enough to share with me his success when I was a little bit astonished with trying to be the provider of medical care that demonstrates these are the things you need to do to help yourself get healthy, with primary care and prevention. And people kept coming back not healthy and not healthier. Some actually got worse just because the stress of them trying to do something on their own was so hard. And my patient found this incredible lifestyle program that's physician-led. Physician's one of my mentors. And it's been night and day transformation of my life. And we're just shy of the 3,000 person mark for impacted lives just in the experience that I've had for 10 years.
Wow. I can tell you now that Paige and I started doing this a little over a year ago. I think June 30th of last year. I can tell you that we got quite a ways to go to get to that number, but we have certainly enjoyed every moment of all the people we've met and shared stories with. And, for me, what I've come across or what I'm kind of trying to, help share with people is how much we care in what we do. And how much we try and help people, not necessarily to create the crystal ball, but guide them down some things that, we inherently follow in the way that we found our healthy way. We call them habits because lifestyles are all about habits. And, one of the things that I think we kind of bandied about in our pregame was that maybe to talk about these habits and share what they all are with people, and then maybe dig into a few as they relate to journeys and some of the things that, with all those 3,000 people, I'm sure there's been a lot of people who have overcome a lot of obstacles that, maybe some don't realize that a lifestyle change can be much more rewarding, if you will, than something more dramatic. So, you want to start and share some of those healthy habits? I'm sure you've got them all memorized.
Well, yeah, after this many years, I do. For a lot of people, believe that healthy habits have to do with their nutrition. So that's one of our macro habits. It's called the habit of healthy eating and hydration. They go together. And I'm sure we'll dive into that at some point in the future. But that's number one, most commonly thought of for most people working on their health. Walt, do you want to do number two?
Well, I think what happens when you have healthy nutrition and hydration is you have healthy weight management. And that's not necessarily meaning you got to lose, right? Because sometimes, as you've shared with me, as you know, we had our mentoring sessions, that sometimes we can help people gain weight who have a hard time sustaining a healthy weight. So it's not all about weight management in the sense of losing weight, although that certainly seems to be the more predominant model that we work with today.
Correct. Yep. And that's just the unfortunate truth of the state of Americans and most of the world, is that unhealthy weight. But yeah, so a macro habit of healthy eating and hydration is one. And another habit of healthy weight management is the second one. A third one, which is near and dear to my heart, is the habit of healthy sleep and energy management. No longer am I afraid to share my story about being addicted to prescription sleeping pills. So you send anybody my way to talk about sleep disorders, I'm all over this habit of healthy sleep and energy management, and how much small changes in that area can impact that lifestyle and the results that we're seeking. It's tremendous.
And when you speak about that habit, I think of it in a couple ways. Number one is how much better I sleep, having developed a routine. I mean, now pretty much around 9:45, my Fitbit goes off telling me it's time to get ready for bed. Around 10 o'clock, I start thinking about whether I'm going to go in between 10 and 10:30. And every night now, I'm usually in bed between 10 and 10:30. And, as you may have heard already, the dogs in the house bark and they're up at 5. And that's about what time I get up. And that's every day. And prior to that, oh, you're on cue. You didn't know I threw him a milk bone. Anyway, so yeah, that's one of them. And the other thing that I think I've learned, and I call these success stories, is how many clients and people and friends that I've worked with, because many of the people I work with are friends that have decided to reach out and say, hey, what are you doing, right? Is a number of people who had sleep disorders that required CPAP machines and other types of things that no longer need them anymore after practicing these habits that we talk about. So there's a cause and effect to a lifestyle change, and these habits just happen to be the high level view of a real well-oiled machine. Have you had similar scenarios play out with some of these?
Oh my goodness. With all of our macro habits, I've seen changes. Like you said, I've helped people gain weight, lose weight, stay the same weight. And the side effect, if you will, of following these habits is the reduction of conditions, medical conditions, the sleep apneas. We can't say we cure anybody. That's not what we do. But we can make such a difference connecting people that, not being tied to that sleep machine, sitting on an airplane without the extenders on them, right? Or just having the energy and the mobility to get down on the floor and play with their kids and their grandkids, or wake up feeling refreshed. I mean, the ripple, you can't even measure it. It's so powerful.
That kind of, we're going to get off track here, but what else is new on a Wednesday night?
Exactly.
But that kind of makes me remind myself of me, right? So this is really weird, but I am actually wearing Kathy, right, from Pitt, but this was actually my son's. Unlike, different things, I'm now wearing clothes that my son has chosen are no longer fashionable for him because I've lost so much weight. I needed a new wardrobe. So I'm now wearing the same size jeans as my 19-year-old son, and I'm wearing the same size shirts. So rather than clean out my drawer and have nothing to put in them, he cleaned out his and said, Dad, you can have these. So, that's another neat thing that you can share with a healthy lifestyle change like this.
I just gotta jump in here, and yeah, we're a little bit off our topic, but you know what? To have a man share that, thank you, Walt. And honestly, I didn't know what he was gonna say, but women get it. Like, no offense to anybody out there, but women get so stuck here about their clothes and what fits and what doesn't fit, and we wear these like comfy layered and Spanx and you name it. And here's a gentleman who's like, I'm fit or fitter now than I was in my 20s, and my son's 19 and I can wear his, proud papa, this is where my son's going to school. So that's awesome to share. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And the whole topic kind of leads us into the next habit we could touch on real quickly, is the habit of a healthy mind,
Yes.
right? Because ultimately, right, it's the mindset that drives the behaviors, right? And
Right.
we talk about a lot of different things, but one of the ones that is passionate for me is that growth mindset. And
Yep.
instead of saying I can, I won't, or I shouldn't, and talking yourself out of that first step, right? It's all about what's possible.
Right.
How do I, and being curious, how do I? And being open and curious to say to somebody, how do I? Or what are you doing? And then being willing to explore further, which we do, right? I mean, I was
Yeah.
on my walk earlier today, and I told everybody, and I'll tell everyone tonight now, I mean, Wednesday nights with Walt, reach out, send a messenger to me or whatever method of communication you might have. And, we can have a 10-minute call about where you're at in your health plan or your self-care plan. And, maybe I'll be able to send you a short survey that you can kind of, fill out in advance, and we can kind of talk about where you're at and how these habits can do it. But, we talk about mindset all the time, right?
Yep.
If you have the right mindset, if your why is strong enough, you're always going to succeed, no matter what it is, lifestyle, life, family, etc.
Right.
But
However you show up in the world, right? Right. When the why is big enough, the how doesn't matter. That's all it is.
and ultimately that, and the other thing that goes along with mindset are the habit of healthy surroundings. And one of the greatest things that has come of this for Paige and I, and I use that phrase a lot, I think, when I'm on video. I'm going to have to work on some other ones, but is the community that we bring, right? Because people do what people do, and you do what the people are who you surround yourself with, right? Isn't that kind of the metaphor that we like to talk about from time to time?
Yeah. I mean, we are like the 5 people we spend most of our time with. So if you surround yourself with people also working on getting healthier, my journey has not stopped in 10 years, and it's never going to stop. So when I surround myself with people who are motivated or willing to learn how to find some motivation in their life and willing to work on that mindset of how can I do this? It helps me, and it helps all of us. And it it is probably the most powerful part of the journey that I've had, is to have healthy surroundings. And by that we have lots of different options within it. It's not only inside your own home and in your work, but it's your extended network of people that you're connected to. And that's what we offer.
Right.
And the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, right?
Right. And in a way, I've really been so blessed because Paige started doing this before I did. I was able to watch the results she was getting. And, we talked last week about how, we've been married 21 years, not quite where you're at, but we'll get there. But ultimately, right, for the first 19 years or so, I did most of the cooking, and look where it got us. Paige started cooking and finding these healthy recipes and just changing what we eat in terms of some of the ingredients, not necessarily all of the things that we eat. And now we're, a combined 170 pounds lighter than we were when we started. And we have a community of people that we interact with who are very like-minded in their decisions around health and mindset and hydration and all of these habits that we've talked about, motion. So it does resonate when you do what people do. But let's kind of take a time out here, because to anyone listening right now, they're just saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. But what are some of the things that, in all the people you've talked to, right? How do people overcome some of these things? What happens, like, you know, when you are out with a group and you do have to be social? I mean, can you go to a restaurant and follow the healthcare plan that, we kind of follow? I
Yeah,
mean, can I go out to dinner and still, like, keep my self-care plan intact?
100%. Yes.
Oh,
And I like it into our family has food allergies. So we can't eat certain things. One of my kids especially, the reactions are completely different. And why is that any different than when I say I'm choosing to eat this? Not I can't have that, right? The negativity aspect is not a healthy mindset, right? So when you order something at a restaurant, the waiter or waitress doesn't really care what you're ordering. If you think about it, right? And so what happens is the ego gets involved, and we're worried about what all of our friends have said or the family, and why can't you have that? And oh, you're on that diet. No, I'm making a choice for me and for this and for this. And you know what? The more you practice it, like any habit, the
right.
easier it becomes. And so, and we give in our world that we talk about all the time with our coaching, right? There's a good option and there's a better and there's a best. So there's no wrong way of doing this. This
No,
is simplicity. Takes all the guesswork out of how do I do this? And you'll change on the inside a lot more than you'll change visibly to other people.
right. I completely agree. I mean, at first it was a little bit of a change. Thankfully, I don't have food allergies. And, I have never found anything in a restaurant that I can eat other than the things I choose not to. And usually I just choose to change or exchange something for something else. But, if I want a steak, I have a steak. If I want a nice piece of salmon, I have a piece of salmon. I mean, recently, we've had friends over to the house and I've been slow cooking baby back ribs, with some nice dry rubs on it for 3 hours. And, you know, so, there's not a lot of things that I haven't had. And what's really interesting, because I know that this is something that, sometimes we're careful about, some of the things that we eat. But have you noticed that in some restaurants you can now get a burger wrapped in lettuce
Oh yeah, it's
and
amazing, right?
chicken wrapped in lettuce? Even restaurants are starting to pick out on people who are choosing to eat in a healthier lifestyle.
Yep.
And I applaud them for that decision, because some people would prefer that and do.
Yep. That's how I order things. Well, one, gluten-free buns are terrible. Two, I don't I don't like how I feel eating certain things. So why don't I don't I don't ever question what somebody else is choosing to do, and I'm not going to ask them to question what I'm doing. And yeah, there's a lot of options and we can eat all kinds of things and still be healthy.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're not eating the unhealthy foods all the time, but does that mean I don't enjoy eating something every now and then that's unhealthy? I'm human. We talked about that, I
right.
think, last week, right?
Yep. Healthy and people and being human. It's part of the whole gig, right?
Yep,
You got to do what you do. Like you said, it's good, better, best. And
yep,
we just always teach people or talk to people about the idea of stop, challenge, and choose,
yep,
and make the best choice for you
right.
in that scenario. So that's really cool. But any other, you know, helpful tips around surroundings? Because I know we kind of went there, but we kind of got sidetracked on
Yeah,
choices, which are certainly mindset. And I'm sure there are a lot of things
yeah,
that people think about, because, I'm sure a lot of people think about what we're talking about and saying, oh, that's a diet. And it's really not,
right.
because, you know, we know people, and we may even ourselves have done diets in the past. I know I've done diets in the past, and none of them had the same effect on me and my approach to life like this has had. And every time I was on a diet before, and Paige told that so eloquently, all the things that she did, we gained back the weight we lost plus.
Right, and then some. I think that the word diet has such a negative connotation. Again, it's a mindset of I can't or else. And I'm not getting rid of a problem. So that's where I think a lot of people come like, oh, I have this problem of insomnia or sleep apnea or diabetes or I'm overweight and they want to get rid of it.
Right.
That's not what we do.
No.
We put people in control of creating health and learning healthy habits, these 6 that we kind of briefly talked about. The byproduct is going to be removing those illnesses, conditions, and create health is something within our power and within our reach. And so in a healthy surrounding, I think it's important that if you're serious about wanting to create health for yourself, tell the people in your life that it's important to you. And I tell, if any of my clients are watching this, they're like, oh, here she goes again. I made a decision to live a healthier lifestyle. That doesn't mean I don't ever eat insomnia cookies. That's my go-to, right? I just don't eat them every single day of my life, right? I made a decision. No one can take your decision away from you. But when I did the cayenne pepper and lemon juice diet way back in my 20s, yes, I did. It was disgusting. People had some opinions. So healthy surroundings this is me. This is what I choose. And I want your support. And people who love you and like you and interact with you, they want to be supportive. So make that decision and say, I want to be healthier. I want to create something better. And here's the thing. I want to wrap it up on my part of, we don't do all of these things at once. Because that's what I said to patients. And guess what? That doesn't work. So we start with one habit. We get to ask everybody we work with, what habit do you want to work on?
Right.
And then we give them the tools for just that habit. It's just beautiful.
Yep. And then we're right there having those consistent conversations and dialogues, checking in and making sure that everybody's comfortable with what they're trying to achieve. Exactly. We're there to support them. Sometimes I know that Paige and I will tell people, when you're having a bad day, just let us know whether you want us to show up as a drill sergeant, a cheerleader, or a combination of both. And, it's amazing how many people have gone right down the middle and say combination of both. And, it's just so amazing when those moments happen. And, I call them aha moments, right? Every week we talk to somebody and they share what's going on and how they feel and where their mindset is most of the time and where they are with, hydration and things like that are, systems checks to the whole habit program, right? And, it's just great when they say, you know what, I didn't do everything the way I wanted to this week, but I'm exactly where I want to be. And they're good and they're happy and they're sleeping well, and everybody in their lives are so happy. They're going to family events and they're happy. They have weddings and they're happy. They're going on vacation and they're happy. I mean, it's just, it's funny because it's summertime and didn't go through this a year ago. This is my first summer, experiencing everyone who's going out, who's been working on all these habits, who are so happy. I'm kind of like saying, I can't wait for my vacation to start at the end of the day tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. And you know what? You can be healthy and be on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You don't like people, a lot of my interactions with people in any area of life, whether it's in medicine or in candidates here to coach, I'll do it later, after this season, after that event, because nothing else is going to happen that's going to pop up in life. Like, what are we waiting for? Right. Again.
That's funny because
Uh-oh, I
Well,
got
that's
him
funny
laughing
because
again.
I say all the time to people, are you the type of person who dips your toe in the pool to figure out the temperature? Or are you just gonna do the belly flop and go right in?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because the temperature is always good. It's always going to be a little bit irregular, and it's going to be a storm, right? And then you won't do it, and you chicken out. But if you just say, make a decision, one habit, that's all. We can help people one habit at a time. And so I think these weeks that we're going to do these, I think we'll maybe get a little deeper into some of them, and the questions that we've been asked already. Some people have already sent us private messages and said,
Yeah.
hey, make sure you cover these ideas, and the more the merrier. Share this with people in your life. We're here to offer support and value, and sometimes a little bit of comedy.
Hey, that's exactly right. Hey, if you throw
Yeah.
a message in the comments as you're viewing this about a topic that you'd like to hear about, or if you want to messenger one of us about one of the habits that we talked about tonight and would like to have us expand on that next week. Next week, we have a really special presentation. We're going to be in a different location.
Yep.
And then we're going to have several special guests and a potential live audience. So,
Yep.
and next week, so we're very excited. We don't want to throw too many teasers out now, but I will say that it's going to be 4 people on the screen, live audience asking questions, and we're going to help again solidify that self-care plan through the 6 habits of health, and be here to help you when you're ready to explore.
Fabulous. So looking forward to it at the end of our first month. It'll be a session number 4 next week, and we'll be able to do it together. The live audience, I kind of love.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you guys will all join us next week, and we will see you then.
All right. Have a great night.
Great. Thanks, Walt.
Bye-bye. Thanks you, Sharon. Bye-bye.